Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who I am, my name is Brielle and I am a freelance makeup artist out of the South Jersey area. And today I am going to be doing another story time that I am really excited about because if you're a client of mine, you've probably heard me tell this story so many times. A lot of my clients are juniors and seniors in high school, so I kind of like to tell them funny stories that happened to me while I was in high school. So I'm currently 21, I turned 22 this year, so this story was about probably about 4 years ago, and it's one of my favorite stories to tell because it's so not like me to be in this type of situation. So basically, so we're gonna be doing a get ready with me, but let me pin back the ye old bangs. So like I said, this was something that took place my senior year of high school, and in my area, so I live in South Jersey, and we're about an hour to an hour and a half from the shore. And Memorial Day weekend is like a huge, I want to say like a cult thing that seniors, and I just feel like people in general do if you're on the East Coast, like you just kind of go down the shore for Memorial Day weekend. When I was a senior in high school, this is ridiculous, but like a lot of people that I went to high school with would, if Memorial Day weekend started on Friday, people would take off that whole week of school and not go to school that whole week because they would spend the whole week in Wildwood. So Wildwood is this shore place that literally it is festered by I guess teenagers just in general in the summertime. It's really ridiculous how many people go down for Memorial Day weekend. It costs hundreds of dollars to rent a house. If you go into like deeper parts of Wildwood, there's kind of like cheaper spaces that you can rent out for a couple days. So it's not that bad when you do it with a handful of people. This was my, I believe, second time that I was doing Memorial Day weekend, and because I had went down as a junior, but I went with like my friend's parents. Like it wasn't like we were by ourselves at all. It was like we were with our friend's parents. So this was the first year that I was going down that my mom was allowing me to go down with just my friends. So it was my one friend that I was best friends with in high school, and my ex-boyfriend of the time, and then her ex-boyfriend, and then two of my ex-boyfriend's friends. So there was, let me do the math in my head. There were six of us. There were six of us staying in this little room, and it was cute. Like we actually really liked where we were staying. It wasn't like anything fancy, but you kind of get what you pay for when you go down the shore. So I wasn't mad about it because we were saving money with where we were staying. A lot of like, just to kind of like explain how Memorial Day weekend is when you're a senior in high school, is that you drink the whole weekend. You wake up and you drink, and you literally go to bed just the whole day, like drunk off your ass. Go to the beach and you drink, you're on the boardwalk and you're drunk. Like it's just basically a hot mess. And like this was actually the first time that I was telling my mom that I was like drinking, and she like wasn't giving me a hard time about it. So I was really excited for this weekend. And like I'm starting to laugh now because it's just like the memories are just kind of like rekindling in my mind of how this night went. So I think that this was probably maybe the third night that we were there. We had a great time the first couple of days. We were all just hanging out, having a good time. We hadn't had any issues. We weren't really going to parties or anything like that because like we were kind of all, because there were six of us, like there was enough of us to kind of just have like a good time by ourselves. And so we were on the boardwalk, and one of my really close friends we have different friend groups, so we don't really tend to hang out in the same friend group, but there was like a party that she was going to, and she was like, hey, you should come to this party, here's the address, I'm going over now. So we were on the boardwalk. We weren't really ready to head out there, but we had been drinking a little bit beforehand. And so because I had been drinking the first 2 days, I kind of felt like I wanted to slow down a little bit with how much I was drinking that night, because I just like, you know, when you just drink for a couple days and you just don't feel good like at all. I decided that I was going to relax that night. I think that I had actually, I remember perfectly this cup. It was this yellow big cup that we had gotten from a French fry stand that was on the boardwalk. So it was like this big. It was like disgustingly large. But I had only filled it up a little bit, and I'm a big baby when I drink, so I like the chaser, like the amount of like chaser to alcohol ratio is always like 75 to 25 or like 80 to 20. It's something like really low, so I don't feel sick while I'm drinking. So I was sipping on that like casually throughout the night, and like my friends were drinking out of it. So I really hadn't had that much to drink, and now we were going to this party. So we were on our way to the party, and like as we turn onto the block, like we can hear how loud it is, and I was like, oh my god, it's really, really loud in there. And I had really had to go to the bathroom, and like as we're approaching it, we realized how many people are in the house, and we all kind of looked at each other and we were like, you know what, actually, like, let's just go back to the house and drink by ourselves. Like, and I just was like, okay, like that's more than fine with me. Like, I didn't care what we were doing. So we were in like middle of, like, we were in the center of Wildwood, and where we were staying was in the Crest, which is about a mile and a half of a walk. And so maybe like 15-20 minutes depending on how fast you're walking. And I just was like, I really have to go to the bathroom. There's no way that I'm gonna make it even back to the boardwalk, because we were a couple blocks off of the boardwalk. I was like, I'm just gonna go into the house and I'm gonna pee really, really fast. I walk into the house. My friends are, so if the house is here and here's the street, okay, my friends were at this corner and here I am walking into the house. So I walk into the house, and I kid you not, I go into the bathroom and immediately the cops show up. Just my fucking, like, what is my luck in my life? Like, that's what I'm thinking. I'm literally peeing as the cops are banging on the door, and I'm just like, cool. And people are like trying to come into the bathroom to hide, and I'm like,
nope, this isn't happening. I'm gonna pee in silence, like right now, like no one's gonna bother me.
I get out of the bathroom and I go upstairs, and there's like at least 100 kids. At least, I think. I want to say. If not, it's like close to like 100. So there's a lot of kids, and the cops are banging on the house. There are like a couple patrol cars outside, and I asked my friend who had invited me to the party, I was like, so like what do we do? Like, what are we doing now? She was like, well, they don't have a warrant to get into the house, so we're just gonna sit here. And I just was like, well, my boyfriend and like all my friends are out there, like I don't really know what to do. And my boyfriend at the time is texting me. He's like, oh my god, the cops are there, like as if I don't fucking know. Like, I'm in the house, like obviously the cops are here. I'm annoyed because I'm like, okay, well, is there a way for me to go out the back? And it's like, no, you would have had to climb a fence. Like, it was just like all this work that I was like, oh my god, I'm not doing that. So I threw away my drink, my half drank drink, and I throw it away, and we sit there for, I want to say, an hour with the cops banging on the door saying that, you know, asking them to let them in. And like there was a guy that had been standing downstairs at the door because people were like trying to leave like as all this was happening, and they were like, if we open the door, like they're gonna come into the house, like you can't leave. So basically we were like being freaking held hostage in this situation. And my friends and my boyfriend were all like, what do we do? Do we leave you? Like, do we come back? Like, I don't really know how to handle the situation. And like I was like kind of like, I don't really know what to do really either right now, because it's like, if you leave and they leave, like I'm gonna be walking back by myself. So, and I really didn't want to do that. Like I said, about like an hour went by, and then me and this other kid who were both annoyed about the situation, because it was like, I shouldn't have been there in the first place. And it just is so ironic, because literally as I was saying, like, we should just go back to the house and like not be involved in this, it's like the cops show up. So it's like just super annoying. I'm not drunk at all, but there's so many drunk people around me, and I'm like getting frustrated how drunk everyone is and how stupid everyone is being. It's like, if you ever been to like a freaking college party when the cops show up and everyone's like, shh,
everyone be quiet,
and it's quiet for like 30 seconds and then everyone starts yelling again. That's what was going on. Like, it just was so stupid. Me and this other kid were like, we should just leave. Like, we should just walk out and act like we weren't in the house. And I just was like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, this might be the smartest thing that anyone has probably said this whole time. We are like talking about it for 15 minutes, and I tell my friend, I'm like, I think I'm just gonna leave. And she gets so mad at me. She's like, you're not leaving. Like, you're gonna get like, the cops are out there. And I just was like, no, like, I'm really not drunk. And honest to God, like, I'm telling this story now because it bothers me to this day how not drunk I was in that situation. Like, the last time that I probably drank, it, like, had actually taken a sip of alcohol was probably, like, over an hour ago. Like, maybe an hour and a half. So it was, like, one, the little bit of alcohol that I had in my system was probably gone out of my system by now. And two, it was just, like, I wasn't obviously drunk if I had been drinking like that. So I was like, no, like, I'm just gonna explain to them that I came in here to pee and I'm leaving, because that's really what I did. I went into the house to use the bathroom. Walk out of the house and there's steps, okay? There's cop cars all out front. The kid that went out, he went left and walked right into a group of cops, and I go right, and I am just walking like nobody's business. I'm minding my own business. I am just walking down the street. I can literally see my friends at the corner, and so there's a block in between us, and there's some street, and as I go to cross the street to get to my friends, a cop pulls up on his bike, and I'm like,
Lord, take me now. Can I catch a goddamn break ever?
The cop pulls up and he goes, did you just come out of that house? And, like, that was such a loaded question, because it put me in a situation where it was like, do I lie and tell him that I didn't just come out of that house and he knows that I came out of the house, or is he genuinely asking me? So I said yes, and I started to explain to him the situation that I had been in, and he just, like, was like, I need to do a breathalyzer on you. So I just was like, okay. And my boyfriend is walking over and he's like, what's going on? Like, she's not doing anything wrong. Like, and the guy goes, go away. Like, you are not involved in this situation. Like, no one asked for your input. Like, you know, this doesn't involve you. Go away. So my boyfriend walks back across the street and he's huffing and puffing, which he should have been, because, like, honest to God, like, this cop was being, like, such a jerk. Like, you're on a bike. Like, can you relax? I blow the breathalyzer and it beeps, and, like, when it's done, or whatever friggin' noise that it makes. And he looks at it and he's looking at me, and I'm like, what did I blow? So let's look at, like, I'm underage, so literally it has to be literally nothing. It has to be .00 whatever. So I ask him, what did I just blow? And he looks at me and he looks back at the thing and he goes, we're gonna have to arrest you for public intoxication. And I'm shook, because it's like, I am walking casually down the street. I am completely composed. I've been so easygoing with you right now. I'm not giving you a hard time. I've been polite, and it's like, you're telling me that you have to arrest me, and it's like, but I asked him probably 5 times what I blew. What did I blow? What did I blow? What did I blow? At this time, I was 17 years old. So I kept asking him and he wouldn't tell me. And I was being super polite about it. Like, I know that I seem like I might be coming off aggressive, like, asking him multiple times, hey, what did I blow? But it was like, legally, I am supposed to know that knowledge if I ask it. Like, that was information that I am obligated to know. And he was keeping it from me, which made me think that I probably did not blow anything. I probably blew a .00. But he was under the impression that I had been drinking, so he was going to arrest me regardless of what I was saying to him. So my boyfriend comes over because the guy takes out a pair of handcuffs and he's like, no, like, you're not taking her. Like, she did not do anything wrong. Like, we're leaving. And the guy goes, I'm going to arrest you. And my boyfriend was very drunk, like, very drunk. So I was like, you need to go away, because we're just both going to get ourselves into this situation right now, and it's not really going to help either of us. And I was like, and I need you to go home because I need you to call my mom. Like I said, I was 17 at the time. Legally, you're not supposed to handcuff a 17-year-old. I was handcuffed behind my back. I was wearing a hat. They took my hat. I had like a fake septum piercing in because I thought that I was super edgy. And they asked me to take that out, and I don't even know where they put it. I actually lost that hat and that nose ring that night, which was super annoying. They just, like, when I left that night, they, like, were like, yeah, we don't know where your stuff. And I was like, cool. I get into a cop car with a different police officer, not the same guy on the stupid bike, because apparently he wasn't allowed to have a cop car. You're not a real police officer. I get into the cop car with the guy, and he's like, how's your night? And I'm like, what a fucking joke this guy is. So I'm being, like, polite out my ass to him, and I think that surprised him, because I think that he expected me to be a whiny white girl, like, in the back of a cop car, like, oh my god, wait. Like, no, like, I wasn't going to make the situation worse for myself, and me being upset and crying, I knew wasn't going to help my situation, especially if I wanted to get out of this, like, pain-free. We get to the police station, and, like, throughout the car ride, I'm like, asking him, like, what's your name? What's your badge number? And, like, he wouldn't tell me. Like, I don't know if these police officers down the shore are just not correctly trained, but it's like, I just think that they thought that I was stupid, and I'm like asking them questions that I know that I'm legally obligated to know if I ask them. We get to the police station, and they put me in a room, and they, they normally confiscate any type of, like, electronics you have, anything like that, because you're not supposed to have them. They did not know that I still had my phone. I had put it in my pocket of my sweatshirt that I was wearing, and they just must not have thought to frisk me there. And yeah, so I did my my profile shots for the camera, and they put me in this big room with 2 other people. And the one girl, it was a guy, there was one guy in there, and there was another girl. And actually the other girl I knew because she was in my class, like she was in my graduating year. And the complete opposite of how I was acting, because I was very, like, trying to be neutral and calm throughout the situation, even though I was frustrated. She was sobbing. She was crying about her scholarships. She was asking if she was still going to be able to go to college. I just was, like, looking at this girl. I was like, and I actually at one point said to her, because the guy that was in the room watching us, like, supervising us, I had said to her, like, you need to stop, because, like, you're acting out of control, because she was hysterically sobbing, like, gushing. And I literally looked at her at one point, and I was like, girlfriend, like, this situation that you're in right now really is not going to affect you getting to college. Like, you need to just take a breather, like, right now, and, like, slow your roll, because it's like, you crying and making yourself upset is going to make this so much harder for you to process. Like, you just need to relax. You're allowed to get one phone call to ask a parent to come and get you when you're underage and arrested, apparently. So I still had my phone on me. So my mom is texting me because my ex-boyfriend had called her and told her about what was going on. And my dad at the time was living in Avalon, which is only about 20 minutes from Wildwood, which was super convenient, because I was so scared that my mom was going to come down and get me and take me home. And I was like, if my dad comes and gets me, like, my life will be so much easier. So the guy in front of me goes first for his phone call, and I was actually trying to, like, make conversation with the other guy that was in the room with us. It was this really short man, and he was, I think, 21 or 22. And I found that a lot of the guys that worked on the shore during the summer are actually, like, kind of like almost like interns, like, as police officers, which makes sense why everyone freaking sucked. And then the girl that had been weeping the whole time, she went and she made her phone call. And I've probably been in here for now an hour, okay? So it's probably like 11, I want to say, by the time that, like, we were, like, sitting there. It was probably like 11, and then an hour went by, and maybe it was like 11:45 or something like that, and, like, it's just me now sitting in there, and I'm like, and then they brought someone else in at one point, and they handcuffed him to the chair that he was sitting in, and I was just like, okay, so this guy's a little out of control tonight. So I had said multiple times, I haven't gotten my phone call. I haven't gotten my phone call. Can I please call my dad so he can come and get me? And they were like, yeah, like, we're going to let you go next. And then they just don't. And another half hour goes by, and my ex is texting me, and my mom is texting me, and my dad now is texting me, because my mom called my dad to tell him that I was going to have to go and get me. And he was waiting for the, like, approval for me to go and get him, because it was like, if he went without me calling, like, they would have been like, I don't know. I think that it was just like a huge miscommunication between my dad and my mom and I at the time about, like, why he couldn't come and get me. Like another half hour goes by. It's like 12:30 now, like maybe 12:45, and I'm like, I have not gotten my phone call. I have been sitting here for almost 2 hours. I don't understand why I'm not allowed to call my dad so he can come and get me. I don't know what you guys are doing, but I would like to go home. They finally are like, and this is what makes me so mad, because they were
like, oh, like, you haven't gotten your phone call yet? And I
was just like, no, I haven't gotten my phone call. I've been saying that. I've been literally like, and then I was kind of getting like an attitude, because I was like, what is wrong with you people? Like, how do you not, you just think that I've been sitting here for fucking fun? Like, no, I'm sitting here because no one's helping me. I finally, like, they're like, oh, well, I guess we'll let you call your dad now. And so then they tell me that I'm not even allowed to speak to my dad on the phone. They're like, we're gonna call your dad. And I was like, why? Like, and not for nothing, I've been the most understanding and like reasonable person that's been in here since I've gotten here, and it's like, why are you giving me the hardest time out of everyone? Like, I just want to speak to my dad verbally on the phone. He's like, well, it's either you let me talk to him or you don't get to go home tonight. I just was like, oh, okay, is that how we're gonna play this? So I was like, go ahead then, call my dad. So he calls my dad, and my dad answers right away, and he's like, you know, I could tell that my dad was giving him a hard time on the phone, because he was like, oh, we have your daughter, and he was like, oh, you know already, and like they were kind of going back and forth, and I think my dad had asked him, like, why did it take so long for me to be able to come and get my daughter? And like they were like, they lied, and they were like, oh, we've just been processing her, but like they didn't realize that I had my phone the whole time. So I was telling them that I was just sitting here like an asshole for like 2 hours, like not doing anything. Like, you processed me as soon as I came in, like did my fingerprints, all that stuff. So it was like, no, you weren't processing me that whole time. You're a liar. I wait 20 minutes. My dad finally comes and gets me. And like, as I'm leaving, I'm like, can I have the rest of my things? And they tell me they don't have my things. And then I turn around and I tell them, I'm like, you know that I've had my phone this whole time? And the guy that was sitting in the room with me was like, what? And I was like, yeah, no one took my phone from me. I've had my phone this whole time. And he was like, you weren't allowed to have your phone. And I was like, well,
I guess someone didn't do their job.
And like, then I was kind of being a little bitchy, because I just was like so frustrated with the whole situation. Like, it was like, I should have went home at least an hour ago. Like, everyone, like, it just was out of hand. So my dad comes and gets me, and I'm thinking that my dad's gonna lecture me. My dad picks me up and he's laughing. He's like, seems like you had a good night, huh? And I just was like, oh my god. I'm like, at least someone's like a ray of sunshine in my life right now, because God only knows I need that. I asked him, I'm like, my mom is like, not at the time, my mom, I wouldn't say is overprotective, but like, yeah, I'm the oldest in my family. Like, my mom has higher expectations for me just in general with how I act, and like I have 3 younger siblings, so like she just wants me to be a good role model for them too, and I'm over here getting arrested. And so I knew that she was annoyed with me, but I asked my dad, I was like, did mommy say that, like, you know, that you have to take me home? And he was like, no, like, she told me just to take you back to the room. And I just was like, oh my god, thank God, because I was under the impression all night, I was like, my weekend is over. Like, my mom is making my ass come home and I'm not allowed to have fun anymore. Like, I was thinking that I was gonna be grounded. Like, I just had like all this, like, I don't know, I guess just stress from like, that was really, I wasn't even mad about being arrested. I was more mad that like my mom was gonna be mad at me, because, you know, that whole disappointment thing is just like, please don't do that to me, my poor heart. So I get back to the room, and like my ex-boyfriend opens the door like immediately and was like, oh my god, like, what fucking took so long, blah blah blah, like freaking out. And like they were like, you know, all of my friends were like asking me like how, like, what happened, all this stuff, and I just was like telling them everything, and like it just kind of sucked, because it like ruined everyone's night, and I felt really bad. And like we only had like the one day after that, like, to like hang out. I don't know, I just felt bad about really like everything that had happened. I got home like the day after that, and I was expecting like to come home and my mom be like, you know, you're grounded, like you're not allowed to go out anymore, all this stuff. And like it was so surprising, because I got home and she just kind of was like, you know, I wish that you had been smarter. I told her everything honestly, that I really hadn't been that drunk. It just was like really poor timing on my part. And it's just funny, because it's just like, she kind of was like, what, this is your luck. And really it like is like, this is just my life. It's like just a big haha laugh fest that I just feel like I'm a part of. I'm waiting for a friggin' Ashton Kutcher to come out and be like,
You just got punked.
constantly 24 hours a day. Alright guys, so that is basically the story. I actually went ahead and did the rest of my makeup off of camera because if you watch my previous Get Ready With Me and story time, I cannot multitask. I don't know what it is, but once I start talking, I just feel like I just move so slow with my makeup, and I wasn't going to make you guys watch me do the rest of it. If you guys really enjoyed the story, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. I will put all my social media links down in my bio. If you guys have any product details about what is on my face right now, please feel free to ask me in the comments down below, because I know that I really didn't just talk at all about what I was putting on my face or anything like that, because I was just kind of focusing on the story. I really hope that you guys like this funny story, because I just feel like I really get the worst hand dealt to me in a lot of circumstances, and I have so many stories just like this one that have happened to me over the years. So yeah, I hope to see you guys in my next video, and thank you so much for watching. Alright, bye.